Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter.
My luggage. Harry Potter. I want to highlight this bag really quickly because this was a Christmas gift from my amazing, incredible father-in-laws who always give me at least one Harry Potter related item for Christmas every year. And this is a very rare limited edition Vera Bradley X Harry Potter bag that sold out very quickly. There are Harry Potter details everywhere. And check out the print. Oh, if I had planned this better. On the inside of this bag. It is just literally one of my favorite things ever. And they're not super bookish guys, but I think they sometimes watch. So if you guys are watching, Dukes and Grimace, I love you so much. And this is one of my prized possessions. So, Harry Potter. Hey guys, we are back with another one, and this week's video is so special and so meaningful to me for so many reasons, and I'm probably not even going to have a chance to touch on every single one of them, but the main one I want to start with is that I am Harry Potter obsessed. This series means so much to me. I'm going to try not to get too gushy and emotional. And I know that's so lame and it's so, just kind of like, people will be like, why are you overreacting? It's literally a children's story. And it is, okay, it is. It's a children's YA story. However, there are things that form our lives and people that form our lives and events that form our lives, right? Your birth of your children, you meeting your spouse, getting married, getting into college. And those are the big heavy hitters. But sometimes there are things that happens in our lives that do shape us, and they're minute details or small things or conversations you have with a loved one that you will remember for the rest of time, for the rest of your life, because they form you to being who you are. And one of those formative things for me in my younger years, and that I carry the love on with me, and that I really do think shaped me as a person, was the Harry Potter series. I remember the day my mother came home with the first Harry Potter book, the Sorcerer's Stone, when it first came out, brand new release. I don't really think anyone had heard of it. There was a small independent bookstore in a plaza in Southbury, Connecticut, and my mom owns a home healthcare agency, and we have a large retirement village in Southbury. So she worked there a lot. And this was back in the day when she was first starting her company. So on her way back from meeting a client or doing something, she stopped at this small independent bookstore and was sweet enough to bring me home a book, because I have always been a reader. But at that point, I don't remember how much, how old I was, somewhere maybe 9-10 years old, somewhere in that arena. And I'd always been a reader, but I actually read, shockingly, a lot of classics. I read the original Alice in Wonderland. I think I was like in the middle of Moby Dick when she brought home Harry Potter. I remember it because the edition that I had was like that big, and at the time it was like the biggest book I'd ever seen. And I read a lot of classics. So she came home from work, and I will never forget it. She comes up the stairs, she knocks on my bedroom door, I tell her to come in, and she's like, hi honey, and she's like, hey, on my way home from work, I stopped at the bookstore, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was because it's unfortunately since closed down. And she goes, and I got you a book. And I was like, oh, thank you. And she hands it to me, and I look at the cover, and I just kind of stare back at her, and I was so incredibly grateful, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things I am, but one of them is not ungrateful or disrespectful or spoiled. I am so grateful. But I just kind of looked at her, and then I read the inside cover, and it was just such a departure for me, the whole genre. And I kind of was like, magic and wizardry? Like, I just kind of, it was so not what I typically read. And to be completely honest with you, like, not what we typically read together. So it originally, I was so grateful, but it came across as a very random decision. Like, of all the books in the bookstore, she saw this and thought, like, this is what Lindsay would like. It was just strange. So I was like, oh, well, thanks, Mom, but like, wizardry? And I will never forget that she looked at me and she said, no, Lindsay, like, I think this book is going to be really big. Like, I think this is going to be really, really popular. And I looked at her and I was like, really? She goes, I just have a feeling. I just have a feeling that this is going to be a really, really big book. And I go, okay, I'll give it a try. And the day after she brought it home, I finished Moby Dick, and I go, you know what? Let's see what this has to offer. And I just decided on a whim to just pick it up because my mom had a feeling and I wanted to be able to tell her what I thought. And I picked it up and I started reading, and I finished Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone here in the US, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in the UK and in Europe. Honestly, I think pretty much everywhere else in the world. Is the US the only place where it's the Sorcerer's Stone? I have no idea, but comment below if there's anywhere else in the world where it's the Sorcerer's Stone. But I finished it in one day, and my jaw could have hit the floor with how much I loved this book. And I read the last line, slammed the cover, hugged it, ran downstairs, and I was like, Mom, you need to read this book. We need to discuss this book. Like, I'm obsessed. This is everything to me. Everything to me. Harry and Ron and Hermione and Hogwarts. Like, I spent the next, 25 years of my life waiting for my Hogwarts letter. I'm still waiting. It's going to come. It's never too late. It will arrive by owl, and I will get sorted into Ravenclaw, and everything will start from there. But I just cannot express to you how much this series shaped my childhood for, the next decade. Every single release for Harry Potter, my mom, my dad, or I would attend the midnight release parties completely in our cloaks, using eyeliner to paint lightning bolts on our head. And the next 2 days after release of my life would be consumed with reading the new Harry Potter book. I cried. I'm so attached to these characters. I've learned so many life lessons. It only reinforced my love of reading, and this is the series that glued in me with super glue, permanent, that will never go away, the love and appreciation for reading and literature. And I honestly attribute Harry Potter to be the series that created the ability to see movies in my head when I'm reading, because this book was like a movie playing in my head as I read it. And I have so many amazing memories. I know I'm babbling, but this one really does just highlight how fantastic my dad is. I have always been kind of a nerd. I've loved school. And the year between, I forget what it is. It might have been like my 8th grade and freshman year, or like freshman and sophomore. I don't remember. But the summer between, I believe it was my 8th grade and freshman year of high school, I was accepted into the pre-law program at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was able to enter in and take a watered down version of their pre-law program, trying to figure out if I wanted to go to law school, which I always kind of thought I was going to do, and my plans change, and that's okay. So I spent my entire summer living on the campus of Brown University, states away in Rhode Island from home in Connecticut. And it happened to be that summer there was a Harry Potter release. And I remember calling my dad and just being like, I can't do it. I can't spend a year not doing a midnight release with you. I was like super emotional about it. It's something that really formed my life every single summer. And I just said, I'm so heartbroken that I'm going to have to do this release alone and that you're not going to be with me. And it's just such an integral part of my childhood memories, you coming and doing midnight releases with me, but it's okay, Dad. I'll be okay. I'm gonna do it, but I really miss you and I love you and I wish you were here. And that, I'm gonna get emotional. I love him so much. That day, around noon, I was in my room and I get a call from my dad. And he goes, "Hey baby, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm just in my room. I'm gonna go grab some lunch. I'm doing some homework right now, but I'm gonna go grab some lunch in a minute. What are you doing, Daddy?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just hanging around. I'm missing you." I'm like, "Well, I'm missing you too." And he goes, "Would you want to get lunch together?" And I'm like, "Oh, Daddy, I would love to, but I have class and I only have an hour to go get lunch. You won't be able to make it here from Connecticut in time, but I wish I didn't have class. I would have loved to go with you." And he goes, "Huh, what if we just like right now?" And I was so confused. And then there was a knock on the door and I go, "Hold on, Dad, someone's at my door." And I opened up my door and it was my dad, and he drove from Connecticut to Rhode Island, and he just looked at me and he was like, oh my God. He's like, "Do you really think I would let you do a Harry Potter midnight release without me?" And he held up an eyeliner and he was like, "Are you ready to paint our lightning bolts on tonight?" And we went and got lunch, and then he hung out around Providence while I went to my classes, and we went to go see March of the Penguins in this little Providence Independent Theater, and then we went to the midnight release of Harry Potter together. And it's just moments like those in Harry Potter that just made it something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and it's honestly become like an identity trait at this point. I'm a Harry Potter obsessed. My kids and my husband and I go to Harry Potter World in Orlando at least once a year. Last year, we just couldn't stay away, and we went twice in 10 months. It is something that when I became a mother, I said I wanted to have my kids have similar memories. So I'm done ranting. I hope you guys have really felt through the screen how important Harry Potter is to me and how much it's meant to me. And that is why when my amazing subscriber, Vic and Wes, commented on one of my videos and said, "I have an idea for a video for you that I really think you'd love," and I'm going to put her comment up here on the screen, and came up with this mind-blowing, amazing idea to base my reading for a week based on Harry Potter characters. I literally could have cried, and I was like, how am I so blessed and so lucky in life to have over 1,500 of you genius, creative, amazing people who are so interactive and who give me these amazing ideas, and who somehow in less than a year or a year of me being on YouTube just know me so well that this kind of idea is something that she felt comfortable and amazing enough to share with me. And I just can't express enough why am I so sappy today. I just truly am very grateful. It seems like kind of a niche word that's overused, but I really am grateful. And thank you so much, sweetheart. You're so sweet. Thank you so much for sharing this idea with me. This is hands down, I don't care if not a single one of you watch this. This is going to be my favorite video on this channel, not only because you came up with it, but because it incorporates something that has really formed me as a person. So let's stop babbling and let's get right into what this video is going to look like this week. So I took that amazing idea from Vic and Wes, and in true Lindsay fashion, I overcomplicated it. I swear to God, I spent 6 hours one day conceptualizing, formatting, going through everything and trying to figure out how I could make this as complicated and as detailed as possible, because, say it with me, neurotic. And I just want to make sure that I take her amazing idea and I take something that's so important to me and I give it an appropriate amount of attention. So there is no way that I couldn't take this idea and incorporate a spin wheel. I just had to, because that's my brand at this point. I spin wheel everything. So let me grab my handy dandy iPad and show you what I have come up with. Let's screenshot. Wait 3 seconds because we are professional. Here it is. I officially made a Harry Potter spin wheel with the Hogwarts crest in the middle because, yes, move over. So on this spin wheel, there is not every single character in Harry Potter. That would be darn near impossible. But I took a lot of popular and lesser known characters and I added them to this spin wheel because these were the ones that I know tidbits about or influenced the story in some way. And it's not all characters. There are some locations, there are some magical creatures, there are some magical items that I think could be incorporated into my reading this week in one way or another. And what we are going to do is we are going to shuffle this wheel, we are going to spin, and then I sat down and crafted paragraphs giving fun trivia or facts about each character, item, or place, and then incorporated a reading prompt with that character, item, or place that will tell us and will guide our reading this month. So I think I could spend an hour talking about it, but instead, let's just go ahead and do our first spin and you will figure it out. So I'm going to shuffle the wheel 3 times to make sure it's well and truly randomized. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Shuffle 1. Shuffle 2, shuffle 3, and now let's do our first spin and see what prompt we get. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this idea. You can't even, I spent so long on this wheel, I can't even tell you, like an obsessive amount of time on this wheel, and I know you guys aren't shocked by that. What a start. Quirinus Professor. Quirinus Quirrell. I could speak for hours about each individual character, but I'm not going to let myself do that. I'm only going to let myself read the prompt and see where it goes from there. So let me go ahead and pull up this prompt. Okay, so I have my prompts list. Let me go ahead and scroll down to Q, and I will pop it up on the screen. N. Am I the only person where when I'm going through alphabets, I still have to be like N, O, P, Q, R? So I'm at O, P, Q, P, 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 P. Okay, we're getting there. That's how many characters I have on this list. Here we have our fact and our prompt for Quirinus Quirrell. Say that 16 times fast, but Professor Quirrell. We're going to go with that. So Quirinus Quirrell, a defense against the dark art professor who was possessed by Lord Voldemort during his attempt to rise back to power. Read a book featuring a possession. A possession. Oh, this is going to take a little searching on my shelves. I will get right back to you. Spin number 1 took no prisoners. It is not going to take it easy on me, but I did come up with, I came up with 2 options off of my shelves, and then I reached out to my book girlies and all my subscribers, and I was just like, hey, listen, I'm doing a video. This prompt came up that is asking me to read a book with a possession, but admittedly, I have not read a ton of paranormal, like, possession, paranormal, horror, thriller, fantasy genre. So I asked for their recommendations, and man, did they give me some good ones. And I also reached out on Instagram and I put up a thing saying like, spam me with your books featuring a possession, but like don't ask questions because it's for a video. And I got some great recommendations, and full disclosure, the best recommendation that would probably fit this prompt the best is My Best Friend's Exorcism. I do not own this book, and I guess I could go and purchase it, but I'm scared. It is a scary book. So although that is the prompt that fits best, I definitely want to feature it in this video, because if you are interested in a paranormal possession book, this is probably one you might want to go and invest in or pick up. However, I do have 2 books that I found on my shelf that I think fit the bill. It's kind of hard sometimes to find books that fit prompts when you haven't obviously read the book, because you're kind of going on like the back's synopsis or what you've heard about it, or maybe even sometimes off of like what you're assuming is going to happen in it. It might not necessarily be guaranteed to be what you're assuming because you haven't read it. But I did grab 2 books. The first book that I grabbed is Foxglove by Adalyn Grace. If you watched my last video, I literally just finished Belladonna like last week. And although it's not the central theme of the book, without giving anything away, in Belladonna, our main character, Signa, can see and interact with death, and she does see spirits. And there is one scene in that book that does feature a possession. So I don't know if it's going to continue on in book 2, which is Foxglove. However, if it happened in book 1, maybe it happens again in book 2. So maybe a book that features a possession could be Foxglove. And the second book I picked up, I think fits the general gist of a difficult prompt, and that is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I don't know much on purpose about this book, but what I do basically know is that our main character has a monster or a demon or something that she hears inside her head. Now, I don't know exactly how, but is there a possibility that she is possessed by a demon or a monster, and that's why she can hear its thoughts inside her heads? Either way, she has some sort of monster demon creature inside of her, which sounds a hell of a lot like a possession to me. So looking at our two options, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like I said, I read Belladonna last week and I gave it a 3.25 stars. It was good. It wasn't bad, but was it my favorite book ever? No. And honestly, the reason why I rated it a 3.25 was because the style of writing was really hard for me to connect with and really get into and absorbed into. So I don't think I'm going to jump right into Foxglove. I think I'm going to give myself a little bit of time to take a break. And I think, honestly, the style of Belladonna was creeping towards putting me in a slump. So I don't know if I'm dangling on this fragile precipice of a slump, if I want to jump right back into it. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate Foxglove, which means we are finally going to read One Dark Window. This has been hands down probably top 2 most requested books on my channel for me to read, and you guys all think that I'm going to love this book. So I don't know how well it fits the prompt, but a demon inside somebody's head sounds like a possession to me. So we are going to officially jump into One Dark Window for our Professor Quirrell prompt of read a book featuring a possession. I'm so excited. If you want a little bit of insight as to what my reading as an on-the-go, booked and busy mom looks like, it's this: meeting friends at the field so that they can play soccer, putting on 10 hours of ocean waves ambiance ASMR in my car with my Stanley full of Diet Coke while I get some reading in. But let's talk about my progress in One Dark Window so far. Oh, let's turn this off. The glorious iPhone camera car angle magnificence. Okay, so let's talk about it because I haven't had a chance to update you. So I'm currently 134 pages and 32% of the way through One Dark Window according to my Kindle, if we're going to be fancy. And I wanted to give you a little bit of my thoughts because it's kind of like my practice to get 100 pages into a book before I give my initial thoughts. And I truly don't think that you've gotten a good feel for the characters and the plot and the writing and stuff until you're at least 100 pages in. So I think now, that's cute. My sideburns are always sideburning. So I think now I kind of get the point of the book. So if you're not familiar with what Dark Window is about, it is about our main female character who was infected by an illness that is carried in mist from this mystical woods that has cut off their land. And she is infected. Now, typically when you're infected, you are gotten rid of. You are hunted down and done away with, if you catch my drift. Because if you survive the infection, which is already rare enough, but most people who survive the infection and who aren't done away with have magical power, which is a threat to the kingdom. Well, she was hidden when she was infected and survived. However, seemingly her only magical power is that she can see the colors of the magic system, which is very unique in this book. So basically the magic system is cards. There are 12 mystical magical cards, and each card
has a different theme that can give you a different ability if you are the wielder and the master of the card, which, this is the longest run-on sentence of all time, but which you become the wielder of the card if you are in possession of it, and you tap it 3 times and give it the power to control you or to like imbue you with its powers, I guess. So if that even made any sense, I'm gonna watch this back and I'm gonna be like, just stop. It's a very complicated book, and it's very, very good. It's very unique. I think part of the reason why it's so complicated is because no other book is like this. Like, this isn't where you could compare it to anything else. So describing it is hard because it's so unique and like groundbreaking. So, oh boy, hand is tired. So to recap, there are 12 cards, each giving you a different type of power. If you are in possession of this card, you tap it 3 times and you are given the card the ability to give you that power. And basically the gist of it is that there is a mystical book that was written about the cards that says that if all 12 cards are reunited into a full deck, then the mist that carries this infection, this illness, will be driven back into the woods. The spirit of the woods will come back and all will be healed and cured. So our main female character is a survivor of the infection, and she seemingly only has this power where she's able to see who's wielding a card. Like, each card has a different aura, like a different color. And if you're carrying a card, so for example, the Maiden card has a pink aura. And if you're carrying the Maiden card, our main female character, Elspeth, can see like a pink aura surrounding you. So she knows you have that Maiden card on you. And this is valuable because basically there is an order trying to find all 12 of the cards to heal this infection and to drive away this mist. And obviously, if she has an ability to see who has a card and where the card is, she's valuable to them. That's what I've gotten so far. Also, for some strange reason, Elspeth touched a nightmare card when she was younger, and now she has a monster living in her head who can like talk to her, but this is a secret. She doesn't want anybody to know about it. It's interesting. She seemingly absorbs elements of the cards even without giving them consent to control her. So I haven't like quite narrowed in on that yet, but she's very hesitant to touch other cards because she touched a nightmare card once and hasn't been able to get rid of this nightmare element or this nightmare entity in her body. So I haven't really gotten much into that, but that's basically what it's about so far. And let me tell you something right now. So good. So good. I think this is one of those books where it's so complicated you just have to kind of like let go of preconceived notions and let go of trying to like figure it out too early and just kind of let your mind go with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to figure it out. Just vibe with the book for a little while, because I think it's so complicated and so groundbreaking that if you try to analyze it too hard, it'll take some of the enjoyment out of the book. Just go with it. Fantasize with your fantasy book, guys. All will be revealed in its own due time, but I'm really liking it. In the meantime, I'm sitting here watching my boys play soccer, and I'm going to keep reading.
Early the next morning, and I've officially finished One Dark Window. This book was so good. So good. 4.5 stars, first of all. Let's just get that out of the way. And second of all, this writing, beautiful. One of the most complicated magic systems I've ever read, to understand, to absorb, but written in such an uncomplicated way. Like, you do kind of have to clear your brain and just go along with it. Trust me, if you read a page and you're confused, just sit with it. Don't think about it too much, because in the next 2 pages, it'll be explained and you'll get to the end of the 3rd page and you'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense. You do kind of have to understand that you're not going to understand right away all the time in this book. It is hands down the most unique magic system I've ever read. The world is pretty typical. I've read this world before, but the magic system with the cards, it's rare that I read a book where something or some element in it is groundbreaking, The magic system in this book to me was groundbreaking. I've never read anything like it. I've never read anything that's similar to it. It really did kind of pave its own trail in the fantasy genre with the magic system. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was great. I loved how different powers imbued you with different things, and different cards had different powers, and it was so good. And every chapter you learned something, or something happened, or it took you along in the storyline. Every chapter. There was not a single chapter in this book that I thought was unnecessary or could have been edited down or cut. And this book was 392 pages long. So bravo to the editors of this series, and bravo to Rachel Gillig, who didn't add anything that didn't need to be there that made the reader feel like they were slogging through any part of this book. The beginning was good, the middle was good, and the end was good. And typically for me, the beginning and the end are solid, but parts of the middle get slow. Not in this book. It just, every chapter was solid, and it made me breeze through it, because I would get to the end of the chapter and I'd be like, okay, I'll just read one more. And then I'd get to the end of the chapter and I'd read one more, which, by the way, in this book is a bit surprising because the chapters aren't particularly short. So on my Kindle, every chapter was like 13, 15 minutes long. That's not a short chapter, okay? But they just flew through it because something was always happening. It was really good. This book is excellent, and I would say pick it up. And by the way, as far as our possession prompt, to me, I did a bang up job because this does seem like a possession for me. Our main character, Elsbeth, finds and touches a nightmare card and is then possessed by a spirit or by a soul from the nightmare card. So this counted for me. It's kind of hard, like I said before, to pick a card before you've read the book because you don't know what's going to happen fully. But this was a good one. And if you do get some possession prompt like me, this is a good one. But let's find out what we're reading next. Have our handy dandy iPad. Let's go ahead and open it up to our wheel. Let's screen record and wait for 3 seconds. Get out of the way. Okay, here it is. Should I shuffle again? I feel like shuffling doesn't hurt, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and just randomly shuffle just once. Just once. We did it 3 times the first time, but all right, 1, 2, 3. Who is it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? I get so nervous, like my heart. Sirius Black. Oh my god. My favorite character. My favorite human character in all of Harry Potter. I know this is going to be a good prompt. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see what he is. Let me grab my phone. Sirius Black. Oh my god. I love Sirius Black. He is my favorite. I have Sirius Black's wand when we go to Harry Potter World. I mean, I have a couple of wands, but I love my Sirius Black wand. He is my favorite human character in the entire series. We got to go all the way down to S. Okay, there we go by Quirrell. Okay, here we go. Sirius Black, like I said, my favorite human character in the entire Harry Potter series, so it's only appropriate that he gets a great prompt. Read any 5-star prediction. Oh my god. Yes. All right, let me go grab a couple 5-star predictions. Okay, for the best prompt in our entire game, I grabbed 3 books off my shelves, all that I think could be 5-star predictions, so let's talk about them really quick. The first book I grabbed is Glint by Raven Kennedy. This is the second book in the Plated Prisoner series. The first book is Guild, and the Homie and Homely Book Club read Guild last month, I believe, for our book pick, and I loved it. I think I gave it like a 4.75. It was so close to a 5-star, which typically happens. A lot of the time first books aren't 5-star reads for me. So I am very, very excited to go into Glint. And I think if some of the storylines and characters continue like they did in Guild, that this could be a full 5 stars. I also grabbed A Lovely War. The Lovely War? Just Lovely War. Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book I've seen kind of making the rounds around BookTube right now, and I've heard it's World War II mixed with Greek mythology fantasy, right? Yeah. In the perilous days of World Wars I and II, the gods held the fates and the hearts of 4 mortals in their hands. And I'm sitting here being like, how are we going to mix the world wars with Greek mythology? But I think that if this is done right and in an intriguing way, this could definitely be a 5-star book. The only thing that's working against this book is the writing is tiny and it is 450 something pages. So this is a long one. And the third book that I think might be a 5-star is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I have so far read Beach Read, 5-star. Book Lovers, I think I gave like a 4.5 star, so close. I predict that Happy Place might be a new favorite, and I'm just sitting here being like, will it bump Beach Read down the totem pole? Because Beach Read is top level for me right now, but everything Emily Henry writes, I fly through, it's quick, and I love. So looking at our 3 options, we have a romantasy series continuation, a Greek mythology fantasy romance, maybe romance, just Greek mythology fantasy, and a contemporary romance. What am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna eliminate Lovely War, at least right now. Even though they're all 3 or 5-star predictions, I think I'm just not feeling this one right now, and this is a hefty book. So I think this would be a better choice to add to like a TBR. So we are between Glint and Happy Place. What do we do? What do we do? Okay, I'm gonna go with Glint because I just read Book Lovers by Emily Henry this month. I don't know if I need to squeeze 2 Emily Henrys in 1 month. I do kind of want to give myself some things to look forward to in TBRs in the future. And also I haven't continued on with this series. I read Guild last month and I don't want to forget too many details of the series because I absolutely love this book. So this would make sure that I'm not forgetting a almost 5-star book series details, and it will continue me on in a series, which I need to do. So we are going to jump into Glint by Raven Kennedy. We're getting Queen Melina's POV? What? What? Oh my god, okay. Okay, wait. Okay, so, alert the presses. If you are not familiar with the Plated Prisoners series, it is a King Midas retelling where everything he touches turns to gold. And in the first book, we are following the POV of, I'm horrible with names, that's one thing you'll learn about me, but our main female character who was gold touched by Midas, she was made of gold, and she was one of the king's select concubines, like one of his, in his service, let's put it that way. And she's his most valued because she's gold touched. Well, one of the characters in that book was Queen Melina, who is King Midas's wife, but it was a marriage of political expediency type of deal. When Midas rolled into the 6th kingdom, Queen Melina's was Princess Melina, her father was the king, and Midas basically overthrew him and married his daughter to show that their kingdoms, his was the 5th and hers was the 6th kingdom, were like united. But in Guild, the first book, Queen Melina, when I was reading with the book club, I said to them, does anybody else think that Queen Melina is going to be a problem? Like, she seemed very jealous of our main female character. I should probably look up her name so that I don't just refer to her as main FMC the whole time. But she seemed very jealous of our main female character the entire time, and she did and said some shady nonsense. Oren, how did I forget that? Okay, so Our main female character in Glint was Oren, and Queen Melina did some not so nice things to Oren and seemed very jealous of the attention that King Midas paid her. And it was very clear that King Midas and Queen Melina's marriage was very political only and very like to produce heirs only. And I think Queen Melina had a bit of an issue with that. I think that that was her jealousy from Oren, that she didn't like some of the flirtatious, romantic, intimate attention that Oren was getting because she didn't get it from her husband. That's the vibe that I got, but I saw her as a bit of a problem. Well, excuse me, Glint, when in the first 3 pages of this book, it is revealed that we are going to get Queen Melina's POV. What? This could change everything. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's see what Queen Melina has to say, shall we? This is what I'm talking about. Okay, ready? This is from Queen Melina's POV. She says, "It was exciting at first, I can't deny that. A gold castle in the frozen mountains was something out of a fairy tale, and I had a king to make me a queen. I had a marriage that would ensure I could stay here in my home to carry on my royal bloodline. But here I sit in my gilded drawing room, my naivete long since ripped away. I have no heirs, no family, no magic, no partnership with my husband, and no recognition of the very place I grew up in. I'm surrounded by wealth that holds no value to me. This castle, the place where my mother birthed me, where my father and grandfather ruled, where all of my fondest memories reside, has become foreign. It holds no comfort, no excitement, and certainly no fairy tale." Am I going to end up feeling bad for Queen Melina after all the shit I talked? Okay, Raven Kennedy. Gold may gleam, but it doesn't stand the test of time. It wears down, loses its luster, becomes nothing but a needy, malleable surface with no durability. I loathe it, just as I've come to loathe him. There's that seething rage I was talking about. Wow, okay. So I think I'm getting what's going to happen in this book. It says, "The gold doesn't dazzle me, though, not anymore, because my dream, my role, my due, it was always to rule Highbell. No submitting to a husband, no being shoved aside or treated like a coddled pushover. Tyndall Midas had put his hands on everything, glazing over my entire life, and I let him. My father let him. This whole damn kingdom let him, but I'm done. I'm done sitting in a cushioned chair, embroidering silly handkerchiefs, eating sickly sweet cakes, while the courtiers talk about which dress so-and-so wore, simply because they like hearing the sound of their own voices. I'm done being the silent, cold queen frozen in place. Tyndall is gone, and for the first time since I've become queen, I can actually be a queen, and I intend to. I've worn a crown my entire life, but I'm finally going to wield it." Okay. Oh, and now chapter 2 is back in Oren's POV. So are we going to get only one chapter of Queen Melina's POV? Or is this going to carry on? I hope it carries on, because I want to understand her as a character better. But I think just like Raven Kennedy's writing is so amazing that just in that one chapter, I kind of understand Melina much better. Being in her head for that couple of pages made me understand her resentment and her motivation even better. Raven Kennedy is a fantastic writer, so I think I get it, but I would love to see more of her. Let's see what happens. first sip moment in the morning. If you know, you know. It's so good. Let's talk about how much I read yesterday. I have to be honest with you guys. Raven Kennedy's writing does something to me. It does something to me because I just read all day, casually, just in and out of doing the stuff that I was doing, just picking up my book, reading. I thought about the book all day long. I looked for every excuse to pick it up. Like, there was one point where I had literally like 2 minutes where one of my sons was running into a store, and in that 2 minutes before they got out of the car, ran in the store, got what they needed, and then came back, I read my book. I was like, it was worth it to read that 3 pages. And that resulted in me checking my page count at the end of the day and finding out that I've read 70% of this book. I don't know if you can see that, but this is in the gold sprayed edges edition. But on the Kindle, I have read, let's say, 70% to page 327. So I read 327 pages yesterday, and I could have kept going. This morning, my husband had a work thing that he had to go to unexpectedly overnight, and when that happens, I don't really sleep very well because I just want to make sure that everything's good. It was an emergency call out. So I finally forced myself to put this down at 5 a.m. I was like, you have to go to sleep or you're going to be an absolute zombie tomorrow. And today is kind of a big day around here. Because I think I've mentioned this before, but both of my boys are very gifted soccer players. We are a big soccer household. My husband played soccer when he was younger and still does, like, pick up stuff, but we're old now. But we are a big soccer household, and we live in the United States where soccer is on the come up, right? Like, we're a baseball nation, okay? Baseball, American football, stuff like that, basketball. But soccer is on the rise in the United States, but I don't think it's normal to be as big of a fan of soccer as our household is. Admittedly, my boys and my husband, I'm a Yankee baseball girl, but I do like soccer, and I've gotten more into it since all 3 of the boys in my household play. But just to get a little soccer nerdy for you, the United States, Canada, and Mexico have the bid for the World Cup, which happens every 4 years, quote, the Olympics of soccer, for the next World Cup, which I believe is in 2020. Is it 25 or 26? 26. And because of that, I think kind of related, a lot of these European teams have never played in the United States before. And obviously, Lionel Messi has come to play, now plays in Miami. So it's this, like, maybe the US is a good market that we should more focus on tapping into. And because of that, these European teams are coming over to play in the United States, which they've never done before. And it's a huge deal in the soccer community that we have these European teams coming and playing in the United States. And for my husband's birthday this year, I was able to score Manchester City AC Milan versus AC Milan tickets at Yankee Stadium. This is a big deal. It's sold out. It's huge. It's huge. So we are going to the Man City AC Milan game in New York City today. And I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done, but usually I can squeeze in some reading on the train. However, according to the Kindle, I have 25% left and only like an hour and a half left in this book, which I have over 2 hours of train riding to do today. And I don't trust the reading time estimate on my Kindle because it's not like every single time I put my Kindle down or I pause for a second to answer my son or I take a phone call, I turn my Kindle off. Sometimes it just sits. So usually I read a lot faster than the time estimate. So I think there is a very good chance that I fly through this last hour and finish this book today because I'm about to sit down and make some progress. So I will find myself on a train with nothing to read on the way back. So I think, even though I still have 25% left of Glint, I think I might do our next spin and figure out what we're reading next, just so I can preemptively take it with me today, just in case. There's a chance that I might not have the time to pick up any book, but just in case, I want to prepare. So let's go ahead and do our next spin. Here is the evidence of our last spin. I think we've been randomizing before we spin every time, right? So let's go ahead. Oops, I just removed him. I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. Let's go ahead and shuffle. And 1, 2, 3.
What's it going to be? There's once again so many names I can't even tell what it's going to be. Let's see. Interesting. Gregory Goyle, as in Craben Goyle. If you know, you know. Let me go ahead and grab my prompts because this is kind of an obscure one too. Not really. I mean, he's definitely in the movies. And with the Polyjuice Potion, Craben Goyle kind of took center stage with Hermione and Harry. And so, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of him. He's not that obscure. This is not one of the most obscure ones, but still not one of the main characters. So let me grab my prompts. Okay, have my prompts. Scrolling from Sirius to Gregory Goyle, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, scrolling to Gregory Goyle. I actually know some trivia about Gregory Goyle, so I'm intrigued to see what I put as my prompt. In full disclosure, I did this like about a week ago, so I don't completely remember what every single character was, but here we go. Gregory Goyle, Slytherin student and the third member of Draco Malfoy's friend group, also including Vincent Crabbe. Fun fact, in the books, Goyle's best friend Crabbe dies in the battle for Hogwarts while Goyle survives the war and goes on to marry Millicent and have 2 children who attend Hogwarts in 2015. However, in the movies, the actor who played Crabbe had some legal troubles and wasn't available for filming, so they changed the story to make Goyle die in the battle and Crabbe survive. So that's not quite the way it was in the books. Read a book to movie adaptation. Oh, a book to movie adaptation. Okay, let me go and pull from my shelves. That actually did not take that much searching because I kind of looked at my shelves, had some options. There was like Shadow and Bones. I know that's not technically a film, but it was Netflix. So I was being a little flexible with myself, right? And I was looking, and all of a sudden it popped into my brain and I was like, you still have not read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And I'm not a huge Colleen Hoover fan. I actually really enjoyed Verity, but I read, what's the blue one? I don't remember. It's actually a really gorgeous cover. I'll post it right here. I remember the main character was Tate, the main male character I think was Tate or something like that. I read that one and didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite. So she's kind of hit or miss for me. However, this movie is coming out soon and there's been a ton of buzz about it. And my love since Gossip Girl, Blake Lively, is starring in it as the main female character and I am dying. This is one of those movies that I would love to go see in theaters, but I always read the book before I see the movie. So the movie comes out, I believe, in August, I think. I've been seeing the trailer all over, like everywhere, like all over YouTube and stuff. It pops up as basically all of my ads. And I really want to see it. So I definitely want to read It Ends With Us before the movie comes out. So I think we're going to throw this in our bag. I don't have this on Kindle, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. They sometimes get a little bit weird about you coming in with devices to Yankee Stadium. So I'm all right with it. I'm going to throw this in my bag and bring this with us just in case.
That maybe he ain't worth it. Too bad I hate advice. 'Cause out of sight and out of mind is perfect. It's so hard to decide. Oh, I know he got me good in his pocket. I know that I'm just a treat. Well, the taste is better. I know what he's thinking, but I don't have a clue. True talent in avoiding conversation, yeah, it's almost rather cruel. Oh, I know he got me good in his pocket. I know that I'm just a treat. Well, the taste is
Full disclosure, it is 2 days later. I actually had the best time at the Man City AC Milan game. AC Milan won, and my husband and I, we were like split right down the middle in our family because my husband and I were cheering for AC Milan. I'm not a giant soccer fan, but our boy Pulisic from the US plays on AC Milan, so we were kind of rooting for him. And then both of my boys are Man City fans, so they were cheering for Man City, and AC Milan pulled off the W. So it was a great time. We had so much fun. We sat in these like amazing VIP box seats, and we were able to interconnect and meet with a bunch of YouTubers, mostly for my kids' channel because they do soccer content, gaming content, travel content, and a lot of the YouTubers that were there were like big footy YouTubers. So I know they met David MC, they met Ussie Footy, and I have to just give a giant shout out to Foot Crunch, who was genuinely the sweetest human being. The joy that radiated off of him when the kids came up to him and said hi, and he spent individual attention with each person, and it wasn't just them. They sat like right in front of us in the VIP area, and every single kid that came up to that man, he gave them individualized time and smiled and was so sweet and so encouraging to these kids. And I pulled him aside at the end and I just like reminded him like it was a genuine pleasure to see someone so successful on YouTube. I think he has like 4.5 million subscribers or something like that. I mean, he and just so genuinely humble and sweet. And I told him like, these kids look up to you, like you are their celebrity. You know what I'm saying? I have to be honest with you. If you have kids or if you love soccer, please go subscribe to Foot Crunch, because not only does he do amazing content, but I cannot in words explain particularly him, to single him out, what a genuinely sweet human being was and how great he was with the kids and how much he appreciates his subscribers. So like if Foot Crunch for whatever crazy reason sees this, I'm going to say thank you again, because you made my kids' day. They were so happy to meet you. You were so sweet. You filmed with them. I mean, what a great person. Okay, we're moving on, but great human being. If you have kids and they love soccer, please go subscribe to him because he was so sweet. Anyways, it was a great day. And then the day after the game, I read 0 pages. I never even touched my books because my family came over. We ended up having a cookout. We swam in the pool and I just chilled for the day because we were absolutely exhausted. The day before was such a long day. So I didn't even touch a book. So it's 2 days later. However, I did finish Glint on the train. It was... So Raven Kennedy, I do not know what you put in these books, girl, but your writing, chef's kiss. So good. I'm going to be honest with you. This was my 5-star prediction prompt. It was not a 5-star. I did give Glint 4.5 stars on Goodreads. And here is my thinking on this. So sometimes when you read a first book and it's a longer, a trilogy or longer, it's a longer series, I have found that the second book is sometimes what I like to refer to as like a bridge book, meaning you take all of the character introduction and the world introduction and the plot introduction and the story introduction that you get in the first book, and the second book is kind of bridging you from the first to the third, where you're going to get some major action. It's not that this book didn't have action. It did. It was good. However, 85% of this book takes place just on a journey from one castle to our main character Orin getting taken hostage to the next castle. That's really all that happens in this book. Now, that being said, the writing was beautiful. The characters are amazing. There were relationship developments and character developments between the characters that will have a huge impact on the storyline. That's kind of the point of this book. But I can see book 3 really picking up to make a lot of the information and characters you're introduced to in the second book, quote unquote, matter. However, with that being said, this was 360 something pages and I could have read another 200 pages of it because her writing is that good and these characters are so well developed and this world is so beautiful. The Plated Prisoner series might be shaping up to be like on the same tier as ACOTAR for me. And that's saying a lot. This might be one of my favorite series. I mean, I'm only 2 books into, I think it's at 6 books now. I'm like, Sting, I think it's at 6 books that have been released now, 5 or 6. And I'm on book 2, going into book 3. Obviously, we'll be continuing. This series is so amazing. And I'm going to look for any excuse to put Gleam on my next TBR for next month because I don't want to forget any of the characters or details in this world. So amazing. So like I said, I finished Glint on the train, and I did, right with 5 minutes left to our train ride, pick up It Ends With Us, but I literally made it one chapter in and then read nothing yesterday. So today, my plan is going to be to get as much of It Ends With Us done as physically possible. Do I think I'm going to finish this book in one day? No, I don't. I really don't. However, let me tell you something. The first page of this book, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, is a doozy, man. The first page had me hooked. I need to know what is going to happen in this book and why we touched on such a serious topic in paragraph 1. What is going to happen? So I'm going to sit down right now. I'm going to try to bang out at least 100 pages of this book in one sitting. And then I have to go film August's TBR, which is crazy that we are already to August. So let's go ahead, take my coffee, take my book, and just chill for a few minutes, see if I can bang out 100 pages really quick. I just finished It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I gave this a 4-star, and I want to talk for a second because this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I was a little bit nervous going into this book because I had seen some discourse from, BookTube and the book community that basically said that this book gave a positive connotation or made an excuse for domestic violence. Because if you're not aware, this book follows our main female character, Lily, as she goes through her childhood with watching her mother be brutally abused by her father. And then as she continues on to her life, it explores the likelihood or the difficulty of repeating the cycle and following in those footsteps, and whether or not it's such a difficult topic to talk about. So I want to make sure that I choose my words carefully, but it explores where the blame should lie in a domestic violence situation, but it also is heart-wrenchingly real about the difficulties of leaving a domestic violence environment. It's written in a very realistic way. It doesn't put a silver lining around it. It doesn't sugarcoat it. When it comes to Lily, it talks about the good, the bad, and the ugly, how she shoulders a lot of the blame on herself when she shouldn't, the misplaced blame, the if I had done this, he wouldn't have done that, which is so common, and it doesn't make it easy to read about, but that is the reality of a lot of women's situations when they're dealing with a DV situation. And I think that might be misconstrued as somehow glorifying or making excuses for the abuser. I didn't take any of this book that way. I thought that it was a very realistic portrayal of a lot of victims' mindsets when they're in that situation, and it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it the right way to think about it or the right way to go about it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's real and that a lot of women have those thoughts. If I had just done this differently, or if I just had not said this, or if I had put away the clothes the way he liked, I wouldn't have provoked him. That, whether you like to read about it or not, that is the reality of a lot of women's mindsets. And part of overcoming
that abuse is changing your mindset and raising above it and realizing that nothing you did justified what he did. And I think that some people read this and misinterpret that part of the storyline as correct, that if she had done something differently, he wouldn't have done that and it was her fault. I don't think that. I think she was just saying that you were living in Lily's head at the time that it happened. So I didn't have a problem with the way that this touched upon a very difficult, very touchy subject. And I gave this 4 stars because I thought I flew through it. I read it in like 16 hours. It was well written. I really connected with our main character, Lily. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, not understanding his behavior, but you really do get a fascinating perspective on the 2 main male characters' lives and what shaped them to be who they are and what made them who they've become in the story. And I really liked it. So I would say it touches on really difficult things. If DV is a trigger for you, this might not be it. But at the end of the day, I do like the way she wrapped up the story. So 4 stars. And with that, we are at the end of our week. That is it. And Harry Potter officially chose our reads for a week. How crazy is that? Let's just do a brief recap of what we read this week because I think it was a great, very solid reading week. So we started out the week with Professor Quirrell prompt, choosing a book with a possession in it. And I read One Dark Window and gave this 4.5 stars. So good. Amazing. I mean, I'm still mind blown by the magic system in the world in this book, and I am absolutely moving on to Two Twisted Crowns, which is the sequel in the Shepherd King duology. I'm very excited about this. Thank you. I never actually thought I'd say the phrase, thank you, Professor Quirrell, but in this situation, thank you, Professor Quirrell, for choosing this book because it was great. Then we got my favorite, Sirius Black, who, because he is so fantastic, had to have an equally, proportionally fantastic prompt of reading a book that I think will be a 5-star prediction, and I chose Glint. Although this didn't turn out to be 5 stars, it was another 4.5-star read and was fantastic, and I think this book is really solidifying for me that the Plated Prisoners series may just be an overall 5-star series for me, and I'm so excited to move on to Gleam. And last but not least, Goyle told us to read a book-to-film adaptation, and I chose It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover and gave this a 4 stars. Did it do anything mind-blowing? Did it do anything life-changing? No, but I thought it was a really important read that touched upon a really important subject, and I really did enjoy it. So there you have it. 3 books this week. 2 4.5 stars and 1 4-star. I will take that. I will take that. And I loved this week. I loved incorporating my 2 favorite things, Harry Potter and reading, into our weekly reads. If you liked this idea, go ahead and comment the wizard emoji to show me that you liked it. And as always, if you have any ideas, comment them below on how we can evolve this as well. Last but not least, thank you so much again, Vic and Wes. You are so fantastic, and what an amazing idea this was. This has to be one of my favorite weeks of reading that I've done, not only because I found 3 fantastic reads, but also because you came up with it, and the idea was mind-blowingly good. So thank you so much. While you're here, go ahead and do all the things you're so professional at doing, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.